Soul and welcome my Malacups to another episode of our Sims 4 Bustin Out, where we just rebuild houses from the Sims Bustin Out on the Sims 4. So, to get things started, I decided this time we were going to rebuild Mom's house. Now, Mom's house was the house that you started in on the Sims Bustin Out. It was a cute little place, don't get me wrong, and when I wanted to rebuild in the Sims 4, I wanted to try to make it a starter home in general, because once again, it's a small house. It's a cute house, but it is a small house. It actually is only a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and when I say 1 bedroom, 1 bath, I mean like those 2 small rooms that I built in the back of the shell are the bedroom and the bathroom. There wasn't even a place for your sim to sleep in on the Sims Bustin' Out when you started the game. Like, it was pretty much get a job and get out ASAP. Originally that wall that I had there was part of the original build, but I just couldn't justify it being there because then the door was off center and that bothered the living crap out of me, let me tell you. Like, I could not justify there being a wall there, so I went ahead and removed that wall to make it more of an open concept type of house. Not that it wasn't to begin with, but just to make it feel a little better to me. So I went ahead and I placed, from what I could tell on the blueprint I had, which is just like a bird's eye view of Mom's house, I went ahead and placed all the doors and windows that I could physically see. That way we could get a better feel for how the layout was supposed to be. Now once again, I wanted this to be a starter home, so the end result is going to feel still kind of empty because, I mean, you can't put much in a starter home, unfortunately. But I still wanted to get the essence of everything that was Mom's house. She also had this little front deck area. I think what they wanted, honestly, was to have, like, probably a foundation, but the game didn't actually have foundations back then. So, needless to say, I just kind of left it on ground level. I thought about raising it up onto a foundation, but ultimately decided not to, just to keep it as simple as possible. I put the move objects cheat on so that way I can put the mailbox as far forward as possible, because let's face it, in those old games, those mailboxes literally were like practically on the sidewalk. You couldn't interact with them at all. After that, I proceeded to go inside and work on the kitchen area and put down the tile in the bathroom as well. That kind of honestly worried me, simply because if you look at the blueprint on the Sims Bustin' Out, Mom's bathroom has blue tile with yellow wallpaper. I debated leaving it that way. I believe I ended up changing that though here in the end result. Regardless though, I kind of went through and I was looking for different things that could fit here. In the old game, Mom's house had this honestly kind of ugly checkered wallpaper in the kitchen. Here it kind of still works, so I just said, you know what, this is what we're doing. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna leave this checkered wallpaper in here. Otherwise, I went through the house and wallpapered the rest of it, tried to keep it as similar as possible to what Mom's house originally looked like. But I mean, only so much you can do with base game stuff at that. This build is 100% completely base game compatible. Now, you'll see me struggle with this part a little bit because I did not like how those counters just didn't have the same, like they weren't the same distance. So I went ahead and put a half wall there. Tried different things to see if I can make it not have that weird lining, and ultimately decided the half wall was going to be the best bet here. I did also play test it though to make sure that, you know, your sim can still access that back door and get outside that way, because I didn't want to completely make that an inaccessible area. After that though, I went ahead and built up the rest of the kitchen. I didn't add any overhead cabinets. I probably could have. I might go back whenever I do decide to fill up this house more properly, because I want to make this house like a nice fully furnished, actual nice looking house instead of just a base game house. I might go ahead and change that up a bit and put some cabinets in. Next thing I wanted to work on was this bedroom, because I was a bit worried about it. It is super tiny. I didn't think I was going to be able to fit everything in there, like a nightstand or a dresser, and make it actually comfortable, because I'm pretty sure in The Sims Busting Out, it only has the bed and the 2 nightstands. But I went ahead and, like I said, I did playtest this house after the fact, just to make sure that it worked properly, and everything works. Now, I was also going ahead and building up this bathroom, and the bathroom honestly feels huge in comparison to everything else. Like, I can't understand the need for that large of a bathroom. Once again, when I go ahead and remodel and rebuild this house, I'll probably ultimately go ahead and redo that bathroom a bit. You saw me mess around with the tables there for a little bit, because in the old Sims Bustin Out game, they had these 2x2 tables, so you could honestly sit 8 people at one table very easily. I didn't want to do that in this house just because, well, one, we don't really have many tables that fit 8 people, and 2, it just seemed like a waste of seating for such a small house. So I went ahead with the just normal table and put it up against the window there. I next moved over to the living area, where in that game she just had a TV on like a stand, which was just one item in the old game, but in this game it's honestly 2 items. Then I went ahead and put in the couches and the chair, that was also there. I also put in a jukebox because she had a jukebox in her house. Otherwise, she just had some miscellaneous decorations throughout the house, pots, plants, whatever. Took me a minute to find something that I wanted to actually put there, because it literally was just a vase and a flower pot on the game, so instead I just put a tissue box there because I honestly didn't know what else to put there. Then I went ahead and tried to decorate it as much as possible. Originally I was going to use these 3 little pictures there, because she did have 3 pictures of like plants stacked on top of each other, which we don't really have, but we do have the apple and the pear stack, so I went ahead and did that. Then I added this nightstand and lamp over on the table because she also had that in her house on the game. She did also have another bookshelf, which I didn't go ahead and add because I just didn't see it as necessary, and a nice little fish tank there. I was going to go ahead and use the bigger fish tank, like the one that comes with a stand and everything, the really nice one, but that is actually not a base game item. That is something that was included in the Sims Pets, so I did not include it in this case. After that, I went outside, did some decorating on the front porch, and then I proceeded to struggle with the roof for, in real time, probably like an hour. This roof was the death of me trying to figure it out. I tried different methods that I knew of, different things I've seen like on TikTok. I got that to work a little bit, and I did kind of like it, but I didn't at the same time. Looking at it now that I just see myself redo it, I almost might have kept that. It wasn't horrid, but I kind of messed around with it more and more. Honestly, getting more and more frustrated trying to figure out trying the hexagonal roof thing, but I couldn't get that to line up right. Went back to these half gables, and I still couldn't get that to line up right, because, I mean, whenever I flipped it around, obviously it wasn't going to work. It doesn't work there because all the clipping. Nothing I could do could make this roof work how I wanted it to work. I went to the back to try to see if I could make that work in a nice way. Different methods, just trying to figure out leaving those little, whatever you want to call them, those little diagonal pieces is the best way to call them, out of the way. Takes me a minute here because I do also check to see if I have any blueprints of what the outside of her house looks like, and I do not. So I keep going ahead and struggling with this for a little bit longer, trying to find different angles. Once again, going back over and seeing if I can find any blueprints that work. Trying to minimize any clipping. Once again, it's just agitating me, frustrating me. I think eventually, I don't know how much longer it would be, I'm pretty sure I just added a covered roof over the porch area instead to kind of get rid of these weird diagonal pieces. Yeah, because there I had the columns, and I'm starting to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? Thought about putting those little circular pieces there again and seeing how I can make those match in, but I really just didn't like how they fit in with the rest of the house. Got rid of them all again and just said, you know what, it's fine, we're doing this. This is fine. The amount of agitation I had with this roof at this point was astronomical. Still couldn't figure out how I wanted to do it. I was getting happier with it, but was still quite upset with it. It turned into quite the process for me to figure out how this roof was going to work for me. Like I said, in real time, I'm pretty sure this build took me, or not the build itself, the roof itself took me an hour. The build itself, like without the roof, that probably only took me an hour. But yeah, the roof was a nightmare on this. Going back, I might try it again, you know, when I'm not recording. I don't know why I spent so much time on it while I was recording, because honestly, it was just so nightmare fuel-y to do this whole roof. Eventually I got it to a place that I liked, and then I was like, well, I want something to make the front of the house look nice, so I did that instead and added the little window just because it feels much nicer. Ultimately, I ended up liking what I had, and then I decided, well, we're going to landscape outside now because, well, you need some landscaping to make the houses look nice. Ultimately, I used the debug menu for this, so this didn't jump up the price of the house because, you know, God forbid you add a tree or two and your price goes from $19,000 to $40,000 because you've added so many trees, flowers, whatever. I wanted to make this area right here specifically a nice little area since they have the easel there in the backyard, so they could technically be painting a nice nature scene. I didn't want to do too much in the sense of landscaping, just because at the same time, while I do love taking the time to landscape, I didn't feel like I was going to be able to do it in a way that was nice. I wanted to also border the sidewalk a little bit because, once again, in the Sims Bustin Out, Mom's house had about 3 or 4 plants, I can't remember, just lining the sidewalk. So I was going to do like maybe a fence or something from debug, anything to keep the price of the house down without doing anything. And then I found that nice picket fence and was like, oh, too bad I couldn't find this earlier to make it work as like my porch piece, because we don't actually have standard picket fence in base game. So I went ahead and I stopped messing around with that front porch area. Decided to do some terrain paint to make it look nicer. Ultimately though, I ended up finishing up this house in a way that I was kind of happy with. I do have it up on the gallery for people that want to go ahead and download it. You just have to search Kira Kamayura, and it is under Mom's house. Like I said, it is on the gallery just under my username. Hope you enjoy!